world is this? The police do not protect us, and I do not want to be protected. What fucking world is this? The patriarchy.
Ever wonder why a lot of feminists tend to have that bright colored hair? Well, in this video I'm going to explore the psychology behind the famous bright colored hair that a lot of enraged feminists seem to be proud of. As far as I know, dyeing your hair pink or blue, it's not officially a feminist uniform. Yet. So, how come that having bright colored hair is very common amongst the kill old man team? It seems to me that behind any type of behavior is way more than the silly reactivity we all witness on social media channels. When it comes to knowing and identifying patterns in the way we're being, Enneagram is an absolutely amazing personality tool. You can find plenty of content about this on Dr. Tom LaHue's channel, which I'm going to put the link in the description. There's so much content that will educate you about this, since today we're going to focus only on one character type from all nines. Or if you're familiar with Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, you most likely have heard him talking about the archetypes. So what is Enneagram? According to Wikipedia, the Enneagram of Personality is a model of the human psyche which is principally understood and taught as a typology of 9 interconnected personality types. In other words, quoting, "The Enneagram is a way of coming to a deeper understanding about ourselves and others. The insights provide a clear path for us to shed that which is not serving us and to realize the true nature of our being. It is an amazing tool for self-awareness, a bit like having a book written especially for you in order to assist you in your personal growth. The Enneagram consists of 9 basic personality types, which can be divided further into various 3-way divisions, resulting in many other subtypes. The 9 equidistant points which you see on the circle diagram represent the 9 basic types. Each of us is born as one type, which remains constant throughout our lives. The types give us insight into how we navigate the world. Our type is not formed by our youth, but rather, one could say, our childhood is formed by our type. This means that children of certain types will experience similar types of experiences, not necessarily in the way they manifest, but issues such as feeling overlooked or growing up in a conflict-ridden household. There is no hierarchy in the Enneagrams. For instance, type 1 is no better or worse than an 8 or any other types. We all have our strengths and weaknesses, although the form they take is different. Each type has lessons to learn and issues to work through." End of quote. The Enneagram of Eating by Anne Gadd. There are many variations based on the same principle. However, Enneagram is what worked the best for me, so feel free to explore other options as well. Okay, so how do Enneagram or archetypes have any connection with the color of hair? Like stated previously, the Enneagram is teaching us about 9 interconnected personality types, from 1 to 9. Following the Enneagram knowledge, the way of being shown in these women's behavior is of a type 4 character. So, how does a 4 character type behave when at their worst? Well,
Now, if you would shut the f- up for the 50th billionth time.
quote, "Type 4 character can be emotionally dramatic and demanding attention from others through their behavior. Filled with shame and self-loathing, they may lash out at others. Depression is common at this level, as well as seeing themselves as tragic victims, supposedly tormented by the actions of others." End of quote. They have a tendency to make everything about themselves, becoming really vocal and demonstrative in their frustrations. Hence all this protesting and fighting the wrong battles, I would argue. They often turn their attention on the unfairness of the world, looking for who's to blame and try to punish other people. They will speed up their intensity, becoming more emotional, thus more reactive, expressing their hurt, letting go of any concerns of the impression they're giving. In other words, when they're angry, you're going to hear them. Quote, feeling themselves as defective in some way and having experiences themselves as somehow being less fortunate than others creates a search for identity, which can manifest as choosing certain foods, groups, music, and so on to enhance the current identity. If you see someone with a pink streak in their hair, covered in dark tattoos, skulls, snakes, fantasy, and so forth, with numerous piercings, dressed in vintage clothing, or wearing a flower in their hair, chances are you're looking at a 4. When 4s are heading into areas where they feel stressed, it can show up as feelings of disassociation from others, hopelessness, codependency, and possibly depression. They can become quick to anger from the outside, often being highly critical of others and apparently overlooking their own faults, but on the other side have deep feelings of shame and self-loathing that are being projected onto those close to them. They may reject help, so getting them to see a therapist or other practitioner may be contemptuously disregarded. An extreme example of this is the French feminist artist Orlan, who during the 90s had herself filmed while undergoing cosmetic surgery to alter her appearance in order to look more like Leonardo's Mona Lisa and Botticelli's Venus, among others. Orlan apparently did not undergo these 9 surgical procedures for art's sake, but more as an exploration of her need to be different and to reinvent herself, as well as to undoubtedly shock society as a result. Unlike other women having cosmetic surgery to correct flaws or to appear younger, exploring new ways of being physically became her art. So 4s tends to frequently report experiencing feelings of abandon as children by both or one of their parents. Everything starts in childhood. And for myself, I frequently report experiencing feeling abandoned as a child by both or one of my parents. The feeling of being abandoned then translating into not being worthy of being cared for, misunderstood, unworthy of being loved, and being defective in some way. Hence the motivation to be noticed, to be seen as not defective, to be special. 4 character types may spend their lives looking for the parent or parents they feel they did not have, and often feel let down by those they choose to project these feelings on, leading to bouts of rage. As their neediness and expectations of others increases, they may drive away the very person who was rescuing them, thereby repeating the childhood experience. They may adopt the persona of, I'm overweight, so get lost, it's who I am different. So being upset and frustrated while fighting the wrong battles, 4 character types certainly become their worst enemy. More often than not, they focus on what's missing, on what's not going right, on the negative focus, to the point they can become pessimistic and putting up walls and barriers between them and the world. When they've really lost it, the angry 4s feel hurt, isolated, misunderstood, and taken for granted. According to their internal world, They have it the worst, and the world is against them. Everybody else's life seems to be working for them. Everybody seems to be fitting in and have a sense of belonging, and they feel left behind. It's like they've not been given a fair deal in life. Now, of course, humans are not logical creatures, and at times people will react differently. However, we all seem to follow the same pattern as within our character. Whereas some of them will protest with anger, others can get more withdrawal, alienating themselves so much from the group by becoming more unique in their way of being, lifestyle, beliefs, and so on. Some will become self-punishing and self-loathing, and others can become other-punishing and others-loathing, aka feminism today. So, how do you see all these crazy colored hair women now? Are these women gone too far? Yes. Can this attitude result in potential tragedy? Yes. Is this the path to hell for who follows? It seems like it. In the end, we are all where we are for a reason. It's okay to be where we are, even though it's lost, or angry, bitter, melancholic, or sad. The question is, at what cost we're allowing ourselves to stay where we are. We can stay where we are as long as we want, but it's not realistic that a lot or anyone will want to be around us. In conclusion, it seems to me that when we become more knowledgeable about what's behind one's choices and actions, we become more compassionate, more kind with each other, and ultimately with ourselves.
What world is this?